What up guys, today I'm going to be teaching you how to do a slick back mid bald fade. Before I start any haircut, I like to brush the hair and get it all prepped up for the haircut. To start the haircut, I'm going to start by wetting his hair because we're going to cut his top hair first. To start cutting his top hair, I'm going to cut his bangs and then I'm going to work my way all the way back. As you can see here, I put the hair down to see where my first guideline is. And I'm using that to help me to cut all of his hair evenly right down the middle. Next, to blend his top hair to the sides, as you can see, I start from the front. I made my guideline to his crown and I'll separate the hair. With his top hair, I'm gonna brush it down to match with the sides. As I grab it to the sides right here, you see me that I'm gonna cut it to the same length as the side hair and I'm gonna cut it diagonally. This step will help you make the top hair blend into the sides all nicely. Next step, I'm gonna blow dry his hair. When I like to blow dry the top, I like to start with the back, try to control the crown, and work my way through the front. Next, to start the fade, we're gonna do a mid bald fade. As you can see where I pointed my fingers, that's where we're gonna make our first bald line. When you're making your bald line, you wanna make sure the line is straight. And to help me make that bald line, I always make sure my trimmer is going nicely and smoothly against the skin. Try to get close to the skin as possible, but without putting too much pressure. Next, we're going to take our bronze shaver. We're going to shave his head about 1 inch below that first bald line, and we're going to flick out at the tip to blend in that bald line. Next step, I'm going to be making my first guideline. I'm going to do lever, no guard, all the way open. I'm going to go up about 1.25 inches. With this guideline, you always want to make sure you have room to blend, so that's why I like to make it 1.25 inches. This guideline is the most important guideline. This is what makes the fade pop out the most. So you want to take your time blending this first guideline. Next, I'm going to be blending this guideline. To blend this guideline, you're going to do open, mid, and close. As you can see, as you go up in the guideline, you want to open your lever. If you see right here, I close the lever, I'm going to just hit that bottom line. As I go in the middle where I pointed, you want your lever to be middle. And you just gotta keep on playing with the lever. As you go up, you wanna open it. As you get lower, you wanna close it until it's nicely blended. Next step, I'm gonna take my number 1 guard all the way open. I'm gonna make my next guideline about 1 inch or a little bit less. This reason I made this guideline a little bit smaller because we made our first guideline a little bit bigger. If I made my number 1 guideline a little bit bigger, the fade will look too stretched out. Sometimes you don't want that look, so you gotta make it a little bit smaller. Next step, I'm gonna be closing my lever all the way and hit the bottom line lightly, so it'll be easier for me to blend with my 0.5 guard. Next step, I'm gonna take my half guard. I'm gonna start with the lever mid. Reason I like to start mid because if I start my half guard closed, you could take off too much hair. As I go up in the number 1 guideline, I open the lever. As I get lower, I close the lever. Next step I will be doing is clipper over comb. Clipper over comb helps you debulk the hair, and at the same time while you're debulking, it will help you give you the hair shape with his head. Next step, I'm going to take my number 1.5 guard. To help me blend in that line, I'm going to start with the lever closed. As I go up in the fade, I'm going to open the lever. When blending, you always want to use your corner so you can hit those dark spots easier. Next step, I'm going to be doing some detail work. Right here, I have my number 1 guard. I'm going to play around with the lever so it's nicely blended. Just always remember, as you go lower in the fade, you close it. And as you go up in the fade, you open your lever. As you notice, I'll be using the corner of my blade. Try to hit every dark spot and hit it in every direction so it can give me the best blend possible. Sometimes when you're fading, you notice some dark spots. To help me blend in those dark spots, I'm going to use thinning shears over comb. As you notice, when I'm using my thinning shears, only my thumb is moving. With only my thumb moving, this makes the scissors cut more consistent and it gives you more of a consistent blend. Next up, I'm going to be doing the beard. So right here, I have a number 2 guard and I'm going to go all around over the beard. Next, we're going to start fading the beard. To start to fade the beard, I'm going to make my lever all the way open. Make my first guideline about 1 inch. To blend in that guideline, I'm going to start hit the top by closing my lever all the way. As I get lower in the guideline, I'm going to open my lever. As that pointer right there is mid, my lever is mid, and I'm going to blend in that line. And just slowly as I get lower, I'm going to open my guard. Then I'm going to be taking my number 1 guard all the way open, make my next guideline. And once I make that guideline, I'm going to close my lever all the way and hit the bottom line. Make it the line lighter, so when I take my 0.5 guard, it will be easier for me to blend. Next, we're going to start lining up his beard. Every time you line up a beard, you always want to brush the hair down or in the direction that's growing. As you see in the back of the beard, I'm going to go straight down and nicely make it sharp. Next up, I'm going to be lining up the bottom of his beard. To start to line up the bottom of his beard, I like to start in the middle and work my way to the side. That way when I do the other side, this will help me to get me the most straight line. Right here, I notice the top of his beard is a little bit light, so when I line it up, it won't be as sharp. To make it look more sharp, I'm going to blend in that line. When I use the razor, it will be nice and sharp. Next up, I'm going to be lining up the top of his beard. To start to line up the top of his beard, I'm going to start at the top using my trimmers. As you can see, I'm like lightly pushing against his cheek and going down. My client shaved his own beard and he went a little bit too low, so that's why I'm going a little bit higher so his top hair can grow back. To line up his C-cup, you want to start at the top and work your way from the bottom and try to match that line to the top. To help me make the C-cup sharp, I'm using the corners, and also as you can see, I'm lightly just lining up his C-cup. You don't want to put too much pressure. Next up, I'm going to be lining up his front hairs. Before you line up the front hair, you want to lay his baby hair down. I'm going to start in the middle and work my way to the sides. When lining up, you never ever want to push the hairline back. Next up, I'm going to start lining up his beard with the razor. When you line up with the razor, you never want to put too much pressure and always pull the skin in the opposite direction as you're razoring. As you see, I'm pushing the skin up while I'm razoring down. To style his hair, I'll be using Layrite Natural Matte Cream. This is a medium hold matte finish. I will be using about a pea size of this Layrite product. When styling his hair, you always want to make sure the product is spread out evenly in your hands. And while you're putting in his hair, make sure it's all evenly, nicely and spread out into his hair. To help me style his hair, I'll be using this wide tube pompadour comb. To style his hair, I'll be pushing his hair backwards and try to blend it as nicely as possible. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys learned something new.